One thing that we do each year at the blood drives through around Kosciuszko County is ask people to choose which emergency service, police, fire, EMS, they prefer or have a special feeling for. And we have a traveling trophy, which unfortunately is not with us today, but we award that to the one that gets the most votes each year. And this year, we will award that to law enforcement. They were a winner by just a few votes, and that trophy will be viewed in several of the police departments around the county throughout the next year. And if you get a chance, get out and donate blood. If you can at all, there's a great need, and it's a wonderful thing to do. I got elected to be the featured speaker today, not by my vote, but anyway, here I am. Where were you when the world stopped turning that September day? Beautiful song that Brad gave us here. It was written by Alan Jackson right after 9/11. He just sat down and put it together and didn't intend to release it. Some friends convinced him that it was too important not to release, so he did, and it was a #1 hit. But so many things in that song speak to what we're about here, Kosciuszko 9/11 Committee. What do you remember about that day? Where you were, what you were doing, who you were with? What were your thoughts when you first saw the TV pictures of the plane crashing into the World Trade Center? That was a day when race, color, religion, politics, none of it mattered anymore. It was a day when police officers, firefighters, and medics were all heroes. We were all just Americans. We've all heard that there were almost 3,000 people killed that day. I'd like to take a moment to update the loss, because there are considerably higher losses. And it's almost impossible to accurately calculate the losses, but people have tried, and I've taken some of their figures and tried to put them together here. First, a dollar loss. It's estimated that, including the demolition of the ruins at the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, designing and building a new World Trade Center, repairing the Pentagon, the health care for survivors and first responders, and for the costs of the ensuing wars in the Middle East, the U.S. has spent more than $3 trillion. In contrast, Al-Qaeda spent about $500,000 to carry out that attack, or those attacks. Unfortunately, we can always come up with the funds, but the dearest losses have been in human lives and in human health. In addition to the 2,996 people murdered on September 11, 2001, another 2,500 first responders to these disasters have died. About 1,500 of those are directly attributed to their having been involved in the rescues and recoveries. Over 1,100 responders are now being treated for a variety of cancers. I spoke very recently with a New York firefighter who was there. He's traveling with one of the mobile tours, Tunnel to Tower. He told me that 140 of his friends are now being treated for cancers, directly attributed to what they had to breathe to try to find their comrades and survivors
at 9/11. There's more than 6,640 American servicemen and women that died in the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Another 1,600 survived their wounds, but lost limbs or other body parts due to the wars. The hidden losses have come in the form of suicides, PTSD, traumatic brain injuries. There have been over 300,000 servicemen and women affected in these ways. That doesn't include the first responders that answered the call. As we look back over the 15 years since that terrible day, all of our lives have changed in many ways. We're still a free nation, but we're not as free as we were. We're not as safe and secure as we were in 2001. There have been hundreds of attempts at terrorist attacks, which have been thwarted by diligent police work and intelligence actions. But we must now all be ever vigilant. It used to be you'd see a backpack in a strange place, or even a briefcase in an airport, something like that. You pick it up, you take it to Lost and Found. Now you report that stuff and have it checked out because it can't be trusted. Tragically, there have been some attacks that succeeded in killing innocent people. They've been termed lone wolf attacks, but they've been attributed to adherents to ISIS and other radical Islam. 49 people killed in a nightclub in Miami. 14 people killed by a couple who attributed their acts to an affiliation with radical Islam. About 139 Americans have been killed by radical Islamists since 9/11, and another 400 injured. Unfortunately, some groups have seized on this time to try to further other causes that endanger our nation. The past 2 years especially have seen a rise in violence against law enforcement and other emergency services. 5 police officers were ambushed in Dallas. 39 officers have been shot so far this year, shot and killed in the United States. Firefighters, as they're responding to emergency calls, have been shot at. Many are now wearing ballistic vests. They never used to have to do that. We have so-called reverends calling for people to kill 10,000 police officers. We have paid protesters inciting riots after some acts in our largest cities. Yes, it is a far different world today. From an emergency services viewpoint, it's become a very dangerous world. We face uncertainty on every call. August 28th, 2 weeks ago, Kansas City officers responding to a shooting call, and that call resulted in an officer shooting the suspect. They wounded him, and they started giving him first aid, waiting on the medics to get there. A bystander got mad and tried to interfere with him. That bystander got tased and arrested. Just after he was arrested, there were gunshots, not from the police. They were shooting at the police. Police are still trying to give first aid, but they protected both the suspect and the bystander at the risk of their own lives. They're trying to do the right thing, but it shows how quickly a situation can change. September 11th, 2001 was planned and carried out by a radical Islamic group whose goal is the subjugation of the entire world to their brand of Islam. It's an Islam that believes that women are the property of men, that condone and encourage the raping of non-Muslim women and children. And those who will not conform to their radical Islam must be put to death. While military action has taken out many of the leaders of Al-Qaeda, it's still very active. ISIS, an offshoot of Al-Qaeda, has become the central force in radical Islam. ISIS has suffered many military losses, but they are still very active. They're very well funded, and they've demonstrated a great capacity to use the internet for recruiting and espousing their propaganda. That's what's fostered the lone wolf attacks that we have experienced. Understand that radical Islam is not a government that we can negotiate with. The Quran teaches that negotiations are to be used for furthering the Islamic religion. Everyone in the United States has a right to follow their chosen religion. And it's been accepted here that a person can offer their own religion to others. It has never been accepted that a person can force their religion on others. That's one of the differences we have here. Radical Islam does not believe that. They do believe that if you will not change, you must be put to death. They now preach that it's only a matter of time before Islam is the sole religion in the world. We have cities in neighboring states that have had demonstrations in their streets, complete with masked jihadists waving weapons and the ISIS flag. And there have been attempts to institute Sharia law courts in Texas and Michigan and other places. So far, those have been unsuccessful, and Texas has actually passed a law that Sharia cannot be used in any legal manner in their state. We cannot allow our freedom of religion or freedom from religion to be taken away. Also keep in mind that Islam is not first a religion, but an ideology that encompasses all facets of a person's life. It does not allow freedom of speech or any of the other freedoms that are guaranteed by our Bill of Rights. You know, in 1941, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. As American citizens, our people promised to remember Pearl Harbor. We went to war and we won the war. We commemorated Pearl Harbor Day every December 7th since then. Recently, it seems to be fading from memory. Some schools, it's not even taught in history classes. World War II ended. The war that we're in now has not ended. It's going to take a long time. Radical Islam has no timetable. They have been fighting for centuries with each other and with other governments to instill their brand of religion and ideology across the world. The words "never forget 9/11" must remain in our minds, just like remember Pearl Harbor. This is why we commemorate Patriot Day. This is the war that came to the United States on September 11th, 2001. The day America cried.